Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The New Normal with Lee and Chantelle. What we got going on today?
So my grandpa from my dad's side has recently passed. And
Okay, well, that took a quick turn.
yeah, we're going to talk about it.
We getting serious today, guys.
Because I have had this profound feeling. Well, first of all, he's my grandpa relatively lived a long life. He was in his mid 80s and a pretty happy one too, right? He was an engineer back in the day, and then he retired kind of young, and then he traveled to a lot of places, and he was able to see his kids grow and have grandkids, and then he was able to see his grandkids have great grandkids.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most fulfilling feelings in the world now. When I was younger, I was more of an advocate of like be yourself, you need to make something of yourself and all of this. Now, as older I get, the more I value family. Like at the end, when you're 60, 70, 80, whether you've achieved a bunch of things or not, having that like what do you call it, like a peaceful and good relationship family is just as valuable. Like the meaning of your personal achievements and all of that diminishes over time as you grow older, and the family grows stronger.
Yeah. But one of those things that you can't, like, I've been thinking about that a lot too. Literally, family is something you can't really buy, especially like an unconditional type of family. Like, it's wholesome,
Yeah, and when a family member, like especially as close as grandparents, passes away, a piece of your world dies off. Like I don't know how to, that you grew up with them, and even if your dads and your moms, your uncles and aunts, even if they don't directly live with them, their presence affects how everybody behave. Like what do everybody do? Where everybody lives is indirectly affects everybody. And that's what makes your family, and that's what makes your memory of the past the memory of your family.
Yeah.
So as people passes away, those influence reduce, and then there's less and less like restrictions, not restriction, but like less and less traditions are there, and less of the influence from your family. You become sort of like homeless, like not in the like
maybe not homeless. What about distant?
like everything that you remember the world as is disappearing.
Yeah.
Like the world is so big, but your world is only a corner in the world, and everything and you remember relating to the corner that is changing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like if you lived in a village, and everything you remember is the smell, the tradition, the everything you remember about it. You leave for 10 years and you go back, and now it's an entire city. It's a brand new city, and the smell is gone, the tradition is gone, the market is gone, everything's gone. You don't even though it's the exact same place, you don't feel you know it anymore. You know.
So is that how you've been feeling?
I always have this like kind of outer body experience with death. I think that's the closest thing I have to being spiritual, maybe, or it's the closest thing now. Even I think it's the closest thing to meaning of life.
Okay, explain.
You know how like I told you in the first episode, this is a long time ago, right? First episode of the podcast, I was like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. It's kind of a spiritual experience. Is sort of like you standing on the edge of the beach and staring at the wave crashing on the beach over and over. And you feel this elevated out of body experience. I think death is sort of like that experience, but times 1,000. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's anything else in this world can give you that feeling as intense as that. Maybe life. Like I put life and death kind of together. Probably if the death of a close person to you and or your kids being born are probably on the same level of intensity of that elevated outer body experience.
So is it more like living in the moment?
I don't know what it is. I don't even know how to describe it, except like you feel like sort of like your soul leaving your body and you're looking down on yourself, or like you're looking around as a third person kind of. Mm-hmm. And then you don't feel the normal human experience. It's nothing like a regular human experience. I don't know.
You say it like you've experienced it.
Yeah. Well, I've experienced it like many times with different things, but then they're at different level of intensity.
Do you think it's because of a heightened awareness?
I don't know what it is, but you know how like there are some people who say, oh, the world is driven by love and fear. Everything people do is either motivated by love or motivated by fear. Now I more think that the world is driven by life and death. And I don't know exactly how to interpret it or how to feel about it, but then that's just a strong feeling I have. Like when I feel the elevated feeling with close life or death experience, I feel like I'm getting closer to the core of what life is, what's the meaning of life, why we are here, why do we do the things we do, and things like that, you know. And also there's another aspect that it gets you to reflect on yourself, remind you mortality. Like when someone, like the interesting thing about grandparents is when you're a kid, they're already old. You know, you remember them being old your whole life. You kind of don't think about like them leaving. like passing. Like when you're 5 years old, they're already old, and now you're 30, they're still old. It's not like you don't think about it as in, oh, now like they're closer to passing away. They're always old, they're always gonna be there. Like that's just
Yeah.
sort of in the back of your mind. And then one day when they pass, it made you realize, whoa, like, this shit real. This shit ain't fucking around, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the oldest people in your family. That's the oldest generation. Then the next is going to be your parents. Now your parents are going to become the grandparents. And then soon enough, well, you're going to become parents, and they're going to become grandparents. And soon enough, you're going to become the grandparents. You're going to be in the position that your grandparents were in. And then you're going to pass, this, it's very, and it also made you appreciate life a lot more. I would like to read you this quote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was watching Lex Freeman.
He came prepared with a quote.
Yeah, this quote. He said this so well. I have to read it, okay? But he was showing support to Joe Rogan in this video, and he was just saying, these people are coming to get me, and they were saying, we won't give you money, we won't give you, brand deals and all these things if you keep supporting Joe Rogan and things like that. And then he said, and I quote,
okay,
"There's nothing in this world I need that I don't already have. Life itself is the fundamental gift. Everything else is just extra." I think that is how I felt. One aspect of how I felt is when somebody passes, no matter who it is, it just made you look at your life and be like, I'm so lucky that I'm just alive. All of these problems you're going through is just, it's minor. If you're alive, then what's there to complain about?
I don't know what to say to that. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, like that's the, yeah, anyways. So your grandpa passed away last year?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. How was that experience like? And compared to this time you met my grandparents, and you experienced the whole thing again. So what's the difference? Like, what happened?
But I think like with my grandpa, it's like a little bit different in the sense that I think I'm like quite close to my grandpa. Not that you weren't, or maybe you, or were you close to your grandpa? Would you consider yourself close to your grandpa?
No. I never spent that much time around him in person, but like my family is pretty revolved around my grandpa, so it's like indirectly I'm like influenced, constantly, like not a lot, but then like mildly but constantly.
Okay, well, like kind of a stark difference then between like me and my grandpa. I feel like because you're like involved in some way, but you're not like involved, like presently hang out with him every weekend. I feel like that's where our difference is like I'm super close with my grandpa, and like I hang out with my grandpa almost every weekend when I was growing up. And so like I spend a lot of time like just in his presence, and like when I was older, I learned that I need to take advantage of asking my grandpa questions. So I really took the time to like speak in our language, and ask him questions so much to the point where he's like, oh, there you go, Chantel's like interviewing me again, you know, like I'm always known as the granddaughter that interviewed him, and there's not many granddaughters. I think I'm like one of like five, and there's like 30 grandkids in total, even more. So um yeah, I think that I'm just like super close with him, and with his passing I felt like um it was much more impactful to my life, because exactly how you're kind of feeling, like now that I realize my grandpa is gone, hold on, no crying. um, now that I know my grandpa is gone, I know that the family dynamic changes with it too. So that's exactly what happened. Like, and it didn't help that this was all happening during COVID time too. So my grandma, she's still, you know, she's still around and she's still alive, and it's hard because she doesn't get the support that she normally would have when my grandpa passed away. So we did not continue seeing each other every weekend, and, you know, like hanging out and having that like traditional Sunday meal kind of vibe. Um, so it was like harder in both senses when my grandpa passed away, and then I knew that that whole world was changing of like the tradition and just being close to my grandparents. Um, and it I woke up in a way that I'm like, okay, actually, like family is all that matters, because at the end of the day, like these people all came together just to see my grandpa, and he was in the hospice, and like there was nobody, almost nobody, who did not go out of their way to go like see him or to be with the family. And I know that with such a big family, that rarely ever happens. And so the fact that he has that kind of influence over everyone is like something special. And I know that we won't ever have that again. Like my grandma's there, but she's not my grandpa, you know, like it's a different kind of force, if you will. So,
How, how did
and
you
I
feel?
think like sad. I don't know. Like it's not like it's a different kind of sad. It's kind of like
Oh, by the
yeah, it's
way,
hard to explain.
how old was your grandpa when he passed away?
My grandpa just turned 90, and he, well,
Nine.
no, not just turned, but he's 90 and he passed away like so he's like 90 and a half. So yeah,
Did that make it any difference, you think?
I felt like it did, because like 90 was like such a milestone for him. He's like, well, in his birthday, he couldn't believe that he turned 90, and he was so grateful that he could have such a, I think this is the main thing, is that he was so grateful to have such a full life and full of like love, if you will, from like not just his kids, because he has 11 kids, but also with his grandkids, like growing up together with him. um
Yeah. You know, that's what I noticed is when the person passing lived a good life, lived
yeah,
a fulfilling life. At the end, they don't have any regrets. It's it's more sad on the people who are living than the person who's passing. Like
yeah,
person passing is in some ways, I'm assuming, I don't know, but like I think it's a relief for them too. Like because I felt that with my grandpa is the days leading up to him passing, I felt
mm-hmm.
this like kind of stress over my shoulders, kind of like holding your breath almost.
Mm.
And and then when he passed, I I've like I wasn't happy about it, but I kind of felt like oh, like I could breathe again. Like I because before it's in anticipation of him passing, I almost like how my breath is like it could happen any moment, it could happen at any moment.
Yeah.
And then now he passes, and I feel like kind of like a relief for him. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
he lived a long, good life, and now he's like he didn't suffer at the end, and he just passes on peacefully, and it's more of the living feeling for them than themselves. I think that's for people who are like my grandpa and your grandpa who live a long, fulfilling life. It's not that bad of a thing, you know.
Yeah. Um, and I think like similar to how I felt too, like, and it's not to say it's like not a bad thing, but I think the stress also comes with, especially my grandpa always wanting to take care of my grandma. So he knew he was going to pass. Actually, he's crying saying like, oh, I know, like I'm gonna pass away soon. um Make sure to take care of your grandma. We're not gonna cry right now, so just give me a moment. I can't do this, Carino.
What? You want me to pause it?
Yeah, I like. Okay, I'm done with my cry break. Okay, but like, yeah, my grandpa is just like worried about everyone else, I guess, being left behind because he's the father of the family, like he's the man of the family, you know. Any problem goes through him. He fixes everything. If he doesn't fix something, he'll tell someone. Like he just knows what to do. And so he's always like, oh, you guys have to take care of each other, always be good to each other. And like the number one thing he's like super concerned about is just like being able to understand each other, because he knows that any conversation can diffuse any type of problem. Like any problem can be solved with just a good conversation. So um yeah, it's more of, it was like a burden on him that he was not going to be here anymore. And so we felt that for him. But him himself, his life, with his life, he's like happy and he's content and he's happy to have lived that life. So I'm in that regard too, like I'm happy that you got to meet my grandpa, and the timing was so kind of similar um me meeting your grandpa. And like I think that was like the only thing I think, what's different and how I felt with meeting your grandpa was that I knew that I wanted to meet him before he passed away. So like the fact that you were the one who's like getting me over so quick and in such a timely manner, because you had felt that, was kind of similar to me, you know, bringing you to meet my grandpa. And then like, I don't know, I just feel like fulfilled in a way that I got to meet him, because then it's not something I can or you can take back, you know. So
But did it change how you think about death in general, like as a concept?
yeah, because it like you can either look at it at two ways. Like you can look at it and, oh my god, it's such a like, it's such a sad thing, which is, it's a sad thing, but like it's up to the individual if they're happy and they're fulfilled and, you know, satisfied with the life that they live and have no regrets. It's kind of like, is it bad to say it's a joy? It's not a joy, but it's like you applaud their life type of thing, you know.
In some sense, it is joy. In China, there's a thing
Mm-hmm.
where if you live past certain age, the whole funeral thing is completely the opposite. It's like they play music and they put up like I think red or something like a just a more joyful color because like they say it's a celebration rather
Yeah.
than it's like a sad thing.
Yeah.
But did it like how you view death throughout your years? Has it changed much or has it always been kind of the same?
No, it changed a lot.
From what to what?
um like when I was younger, my grandma on my mom's side. So this whole time I was talking my grandpa on my dad's side, but my grandma on my mom's side was the one who passed away first. that I kind of really recall when I was younger. And so like I met her and I knew her growing up, but obviously I was a child, so I didn't remember too much. But that's when I was like, oh shoot, like life can end, and it's always like, oh, I'm gonna see you next time type thing, but no, you're not gonna see her next time. And also when my cousin passed away, she was 40 when she passed away. um and she was like the closest niece that my mom had back then. And so it was always like we were planning to go see her and meet up with her, and we were supposed to have vacation together. And so we were just saying like, oh okay, yeah, I'll see you then. But then she passes away, so like it's kind of, it hit me harder because it's like, oh, I was always looking forward to see her, and we've always said we wait to hang out and catch up and all of that stuff, when I could have just like, every moment was more valuable. Like it's so like tough to talk about this because like part of me doesn't give myself time to process this and like break it down, but like now that we're talking about it, I kind of have to. So yeah, it's kind of like every moment that we got to talk and plan something, we could have talked about something that's more valuable than talking about the thing we were going to plan for. So like every conversation I felt like was such a waste in a way. Like we planned the same thing like twice. We could have just talked about something else that was more valuable to her, or maybe she was feeling a certain way that she wanted to let out. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So those are like the two. No, there's a third one too, was our family friend that I like see every summer because she's part of my mom's like family friend batchmate thing when she was in high school and growing up. And she was like the mom of everyone and just like took care of everyone, and she passed away due to cancer. I never thought that it would hit me as hard because I'm not very close to her. I just see her every summer, and like I see her kids every summer. But to see someone that I knew so close in person, and also a mom figure to like everyone, was like I uncontrollably cried. And I was not expecting that because I was not that close to her. But it's the like it's the like reminder that people pass away, and like one day my parents will pass away too, and like how would I be able to handle that, I guess. And like no one can take anyone's place in that regard. Like someone close to you, can no one can ever take that place. So it's like it's a different kind of feeling. It hits different for sure when someone is like close to me, like physically, like that I see, compared to someone who was overseas, like my cousin or my grandma, and I didn't get to see them. So
But
yeah, it's like the people's age when they pass away also hits me because it's like my cousin's 40. This family friend was like mid 50s. They're not like the traditional, like they're super old and they're really just their body and everything is giving up on them and it's their time to pass type of thing. It's just like so sudden. And then you're reminded of like, oh, every moment actually counts. It's not just like, oh, I'll just like next time, and like, anyways. Did you ever feel like that though? Like, did anything like death change you?
yeah, like how I view death has changed over the years. Like in the beginning, my first encounter of death is probably my great grandma, but then I didn't know her too well, so I didn't, and I was way too young. I was maybe 4 or 5 years old or something. And then the first one I know is my grandpa from my mom's side. That was when I was maybe like in my teens. That's when I like understand sort of the implications. And now he's gone. It's a sad thing. It's like at that time I was full of negative emotions toward death.
Mm.
I think it's a scary thing. It's this thing that takes people away, and it's like we're gonna miss like we're not never gonna have the presence of my grandpa again. Like you should avoid death at all costs. This is such a bad thing. And then over the years, I sort of like faced it, and then I kind of accepted, as in, oh, so just one form, like it's something that happens in nature. Like it just happens.
Yeah.
It's not good or bad, it just happens. And now experiencing a few deaths recently again, or when I switch over to accepting it, I sort of just saw it as a simple thing, as, oh, just same thing as birth and death, and just there's not much to it. It just happens. But now recently experiencing them again made me feel like it's much deeper, much more profound than that. And I don't know how to describe it. It's just a feeling. The only logical side I can describe is like the or make you be more grateful toward life and understand. Or Neil deGrasse Tyson is a scientist, and he has this sentence, this quote. He said, "The knowledge of death is what gives you the meaning in life." So knowing that it ends somewhere else, it gives you the urgency to do anything. If you know it never ends, then nothing is meaningful, because okay, I can get it again. Always, it takes forever. So I understand that from the logical front, but the feeling I get is much deeper, much more profound than that. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to describe it. But over the years, I'm looking to explore it more, think about it more. I think this is...
Well, I think you just hit it for me when you're like, I learned how to just accept it. I think that after the first few, I'm like, okay, or like even just knowing how old my grandparents are, I accepted that, like, okay, like one day they're going to pass. Like this is like just the cycle of life, And I kind of felt like every time there was a baby, like an old person would just pass, like they would take their place, as messed up as that is. Like I think that's just the way it is. So like when my cousin had a baby and I'm like, oh shoot, like one day, like it's close now because they had a kid, like the next old person is just going to pass. Like it's like the cycle is just turning type of thing. So I'm like, oh, like this is just what happens. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier that I put like life and death on the same level of intensity feeling.
Yeah.
We haven't had a kid yet, but one day when we have our kid, I think it will be sort of like the opposite, but in similar intensity feeling as death. And I've heard stories about actually my dad was like this. My dad was like drinking and gambling and smoking, was just like no ambition, just like fucking around, right? And
okay, what a way to freaking paint Susu.
no, when he was very young,
Okay.
when I wasn't even born. But then upon my birth, it changed my dad. Like it changed my dad. My dad became like a businessman, became like worked very hard and became productive, and he did very well in business. Like I was the turning point in his life. I don't know what he experienced, but like but I've heard similar stories with other people where someone who's like just wandering around, they don't have a focus and they don't know what to do, and then one day they have a kid, they completely turn around and become a different person.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like, but then if you ask them why, they can't explain it. It's just like a profound feeling when they see life. And I think with death, it's kind of similar thing. It's like, how I can explain it is like I feel like it's the feeling of death and life is like is wrapped by a lot of like clouds. You can't see clearly, but then through the center, there's a portal to the meaning of life, to the center of life.
What a concept. I wish we could animate that somehow.
Yeah, I'm seeing it in my head.
I'm seeing it in my head too.
So like, so the closer you get to life, like life is all like it's all clouded and you can't really see clearly. But then the closer you get it, the more intense you feel it, whatever is in the center that's wrapped around.
Yeah.
So like when you get whether you the birth of your child or like a death of a close one, it's the whole experience. At least that's how I feel. Like I feel like elevated. It's like it's not a happy feeling. It's not a sad feeling. It's a weird elevated feeling that I feel like they're just like a cover, like silhouette cover that's like blocking me from accessing the most center raw meaning of life.
Yeah.
And like I kind of like when I experience life and death, like I escape out of my body and then I approach that, I get closer and closer to that, but then I hit a silhouette cover or whatever it is, like that blocks me from feeling it completely. But you know.
Okay, well, you kind of lost me there, but
Anyways. Yeah. And also another thing that my dad said to me is because the birth of me, it made him understand what his dad was going through. So he started treating his dad very differently too.
Yeah, I hear that happens often.
Yeah, he was like, oh, like looking at. He said he looked at me and he was like, oh, this is what it feels like having a child, and this is how my dad felt, like my grandpa felt having him, and he never understood it. Like he was, like because you always see the world in one way. It's difficult for you to reverse your position, but then upon having me, he was able to reverse position and understand a lot of, even though he disagreed with a lot of things my grandpa wanted to do, but he understood it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
Do you think you're gonna be like that? Well, do you understand your dad right now?
Yeah, I understand a lot more already. Just that concept made me understand a lot more already. Just the concept that I'm his son and he's my grandpa's son. It's the most common sense thing, but then I don't think most people understand this like in a vivid, like actual way, like I can, like I don't, not only when my grandpa passes, I feel that's a loss of my grandpa, but at the same time, I feel that's a loss of a dad for my dad. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, this is just cascades down and made me understand like all the layers of relationships. And also it made me, like I said in the beginning, like my grandpa was someone's kid, once, and he became the dad. Now he's the grandfather. And soon enough, my dad's gonna be a grandfather, and then he's gonna be a great grandfather, and then I'm gonna become a great grandfather. You know what I'm saying? It's like in a way, it's like we are all like different, but we are all the same person, kind of. So it's like whatever they did, whatever they thought, whatever they said, in some ways I could see myself being born at their time and went through what they went through, had the environment they had, I would have done the same things. So I sort of have this, like a lot more understanding with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Yaya was smart because then Sushi was smart, and then, you know,
Yeah.
Lee's smart.
Also, another thing that made me
I just like the overall theme of smart, okay?
also, this is something I think you said. It made me like realize, whoa, my world is collapsing.
Do share, Carino.
So my last name is Shan, and we gathered in China when I was in China, or whether with or without me, they gather every week.
Yeah.
And I always have this, like I always view my family as a big family, it's like, because it has, I don't know, maybe under 100 people, but over 50, right? Yeah, especially my cousins who are older than me have kids already, so they're like a fourth generation, so there's like a lot more people. And I always view my
cool.
Yeah, I always view my family as a big family, but then you told me now you are the last Shan left. I think that's what you said. That hit me. That was like, whoa, like even though it's a very big family, 100 people or not, the last Shan that's like on the male side, yeah, counting both my mom's side and my dad's side, it's just my dad and me left.
Yeah.
And if one day when my dad gets old, I'm gonna be the only Shan left in this, like it appears to be a big family, but at the same time it's like it's falling apart. It's like like the Shan family as we know it is disappearing. It's kind of crazy, but so we gotta have a lot of kids,
Wow.
to keep it going.
We gotta start earlier now then, because like there's a biological clock, like
yeah.
I think the most important thing is probably having boys. All those feminist, sexist people are gonna be like, he's favoring boys. Like, listen.
I'm okay with even number split.
Okay.
With my parents' generation, on my mom's side, they have 5 kids, including my mom. They're all girls.
Yeah, that's crazy. Could you imagine all girls? Ugh, that's hard.
On my dad's side, there are like 4, including my dad, and my dad is the only boy. So out of 9, siblings, my dad is the only boy.
Yeah.
That's
their kids are all girls too, right?
No, not all of them, but once your kid is a daughter, they marry off to someone else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Their kids, no matter boy or not, it's not their last name anymore,
So all your aunts' kids are girls, right?
Well, we're not gonna count all the cousins, but I don't think so.
No? How are you the only Shan then? You're the only Shan left. Well, not left, but like,
because when your aunt marries someone else, their kids, regardless of gender, is not gonna be
so
your last name.
Not Shan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even if they're a boy, they're not
okay, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm the last remaining Shan left.
You are.
I'm like the last samurai.
So I was right to begin with. I was like doubting myself there. I was like, wait, but yeah, no.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm okay with having girls. I just don't want so extreme. Even if we had 4 kids, I say they're all boys, I kind of don't want that, you know.
Yeah, I don't want that either. I like to have a good mixture personally.
Yeah.
But I mean, my first two, please, God, help them be boys.
Well, let's
Like,
touch
I
it.
don't think, like, I think of my trial run needs to be boys. I think they're like, boys are a handful, but also it's like easier on me, you know? Could you imagine like a girl going through? No, I can't even think about that right now. No.
What a sexist.
If I ever have daughters, like when I have daughters, they're probably gonna be like going back to this video, like, oh, like you didn't want a daughter. Like, no, it's not that. It's like, you know, I
We'll
can have
see. We'll see when the time comes. If we have a daughter, I come back here and fix a post.
no for one that doesn't fix posts.
Yeah, you record a separate clip saying that you want a girl first, and I put it in. But anyways,
Oh
let's touch on this. I thought you brought God into it, and I think it's kind of interesting. So let's just touch on this real quick.
mm-hmm.
Do you think religion has a influence on how you view death?
Yeah,
Like if okay,
certain degree.
like without religion, I would think death is such a scary thing. But since you believe in God, you see it as like going to heaven, so it's not so bad.
No, I think for me is like a spiritual thing too, because like, yeah, okay, like I don't know how strong one's belief is or imagination or whatever, because like Christianity and Catholicism, like there's a heaven and a hell. But when has ever anyone come back like, oh, heaven was so great or hell was so scary? Like maybe near death experiences, people are like, oh, I saw hell, like you don't want to go
Well,
there, you know,
because
like, and
after they
these
go to,
stories, I'm not sure.
because after they go to heaven, it's so good. They don't want to come back and talk to you again. They want to
Yeah,
stay there.
like, yeah, so like I don't know, maybe it's because like I never seen both, like I don't know. And yeah, I don't know, for me, I'm just like, well, I think it's more of a spirituality thing, like uh
So the concept of heaven and hell doesn't ease how scary death is to you.
to me, I don't know, maybe I said I'm not, I don't have that great of an imagination, or maybe because I like in literature class, one of the poets, okay, one of them was talking about, they twisted it and they made like the bad fallen angel, you know, like a hero that I can't remember what it was, but I know it's in literature and I know it was like talked about. And so like they, is there a hell, like is it that bad as it seems? Like I don't know. So that's why I say it's a more spiritual thing, because I would just kind of pray for the soul, you know, if there's a soul, if there's an afterlife, like let them be in a good place, rest in peace type of thing. So and then now I just scared myself. I'm gonna be in my room by myself, and then there's gonna be ghosts in my room because I said that shit. Like, great. No, I'm just like, because I don't know. Like, how do you know, right? Like, it's just you believe in this stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's
all
because I grew up with Catholicism. Then I'm just like,
yeah, it's all about perspective.
yeah.
How your perspective changes. Just like death has never changed. It's always been the same thing, but then how I view it, how I feel about it, and everything has changed many times over my life.
Just watching, then some hardcore Catholic is gonna listen to this, and then they're gonna see me and they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're a bad Catholic," because this, like, it's not even that. Like, I'm pretty holy. Okay, I can go to church and I can kneel for longer than you can. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that sounded bad too. Like, let's not. Never mind.
Let's just wrap it up, dude.
Oh man, this is horrible. Just, anyways, yeah. So, do you have any connection to like you believe that there's like a greater being other than your spirituality that, you know, comes into play with death?
No, I don't think so.
No?
But yeah, and if that was true, then it takes away everything I just said this episode, everything I thought of,
Yeah.
because like everything I said or everything I thought of was based on the idea that it ended there. That's why life is precious, there's a limited time, and all of these things. If you say there's continuous afterlife afterwards, and they might even have a better time than when they were alive, then nothing I said would be true, and nothing like, you wouldn't, like, everything I say is based on the assumption that that's at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm not, yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that. But if I change my thought on that one day, then I have to rethink this whole thing.
Yeah.
Then. So yeah,
I get it. Anyways, I feel like this was such a kind of a way heavier topic than our usual, but also very insightful because, like I said, I sometimes, like with death, I really don't let myself process my emotions or like even go through the motions with someone passing away, and it's kind of hard to kind of even confront, like I don't know how to go about it. But I guess this is a good start, and I'm glad that we talked about it now and that I even got a chance to meet Yaya and you got to meet my grandpa. So, having
yeah.
said that, live a full life, no regrets, make decisions. It's okay to make mistakes. You can fix them, learn, move forward. And most importantly, don't be normal, be yourself. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye bye.